coming up.
Look at the mess of that car.
A car crashes. There's no one to be seen. Can we track the driver down?
Imagine this head-on to an innocent mother with her kids in the back of the car.
So we've got some concerns for his own welfare.
A shock discovery by the motorway puts lives in danger.
He's got no handbrake. No handbrake! Stand this side if you can.
And a highly experienced officer gets a call which leaves him speechless.
So, what did you see?
Both naked.
Yeah.
And they were touching each other.
Friday evening, and whilst the rest of the country are gearing up for the weekend, the officers from Essex Special Ops are gearing up for a drugs raid.
Section 23 warrant, Section 23 Misuse of Drugs Act.
In charge, Sergeant Kevin Gay.
We'll force entry at that address, search the property for any drugs and arrest anyone for any offences that we find on the site.
Intelligence has indicated that the householder is growing cannabis and selling drugs from the house.
White male with dark hair, we don't know anything more about him than that.
The officers will need to batter their way in through the front door.
Adam, you'll be doing the door, so I want you kitted up with your NATO helmet and gloves for the protection. And obviously, just bear in mind what we've got there. We don't really know what that's going to be. All right, let's get going.
Briefing over, it's time to get down to business. The OSG are going into the unknown, but they do try to cover as many bases as possible.
This is for UPVC doors. It sort of helps jimmy the door open.
The unit has arrived. No time can be wasted. A neighbour might spot the police and give the suspect the heads up.
Police!
Stay where you are! Stay where you are! What goes there?
Whoa! Come back in the room. Take a seat, fella.
They could have just knocked on
That's
the
all
door.
right. Take a seat. What's your name, buddy?
The boys are in. Now they must check no one else is in the flat who could attack them.
Okay, bathroom, that's clear. Kitchen's clear. Nice one.
Have you got anything on you shouldn't have?
No, nothing cool, nothing cool.
All right.
Nothing cool.
Stand up, I'm just going to give you a quick search, yeah? Just try and relax yourself a little bit, mate.
Oh man, there's no need. You could have knocked on the door, man.
The officers can't take any risks with the suspect.
Just going to put you in handcuffs, mate.
I don't pull my t-shirt.
All right, look, I'll hold your t-shirt, right? He's going to
Just hold your hands out in front for us.
It's a search, right? That's all it is. Nothing personal.
No, just course of
Keep chilled out, and it'll be over soon.
Now the location's been secured, the boys can start their search.
Hey, you know why we're here, don't you?
Yes.
We've got a warrant to search the address under Section 23 of the Misuse of Drugs Act. We're going to leave a copy here for you.
Bingo. What seems like a makeshift wardrobe has something more unexpected inside.
Dan, have you done all those?
The intel purpose.
You could be arrested on suspicion of possession with intent to supply, yeah?
Understood.
And obviously cultivating.
Now it's time to bag up the evidence.
I mean, we've got the other bags that's all in there, but that's all being seized now. We've got any scenes of crime that can do some photographing, please?
The suspect's taken to the nick. The need to get cash to feed a drug addiction is a major cause of crime in Britain.
We do get quite a few of these, to be honest. Sometimes they'll come from information of neighbours that they can smell something. Sometimes they'll come from Crime Stoppers, we'll get information. It comes in all sorts of ways, really.
The scenes of crime photographers have their evidence. The plants can now be removed.
Take one plant as an example, really, and that can be tested. The rest will actually go for destruction.
It's estimated that illegal drug use costs the country over £16 billion a year. Still to come on Frontline Police. We get called to a massive car crash, but the driver's nowhere to be seen.
I know.
You know him?
Yes, I know him quite well.
This chap's just turned up.
Yeah.
And he knows the owner of the car.
A stop and search by the side of a motorway shows how reckless some drivers can be.
Pandemonium.
We'll go off the motorway. We'll go over there.
And an officer makes a shocking discovery while searching a van.
You're under arrest on suspicion of having a possession of an offensive weapon.
"4 years on from my time with the Met, I'm back with the force. This time I'm with the Frontline Police in Essex.
Police! Stay where you are!
We've already seen the officers from Special Ops in action.
Take a seat, fella.
They sent this fella into a spin when they gave him a surprise visit
Man, there's no need. You could have knocked on the door, man.
and discovered just how green-fingered he was. My first shift is with the Essex Police Operational Support Group, and our mission today is fighting vehicle crime.
They're targeting a really busy area of the county where there's going to be loads of motorists, probably some high-powered vehicles, loads of offences hopefully going to come to notice tonight, and I think it's going to be a busy shift. I'm looking forward to it.
Before we go out, a squad briefing by Sergeant James Mint.
They've had a bit of a spate recently of vehicle crime, not only in Grays but in surrounding areas as well, such as Ockenden.
James's briefing covers recent road crime hotspots based on intensive research by the Essex Police Stats team.
The red dots are April's vehicle crimes, yellow's February, green January and blue is March. It's quite a pattern around this area here, so this is where we're going to be concentrating.
These days, there's a lot more to policing than just following hunches. Time to hit the road. And what a car to hit the road in. The Mitsubishi Evo.
How fast has this thing going? 155. Fastest thing on the fleet, isn't it?
The pilot for today, PC Mike Bignall. It's not just the car that's a smart bit of kit, so is the high-tech automatic number plate recognition system, which reads the plates of all the vehicles we pass. It will alert Mike if anything is amiss. And it's just pinged a white van.
The beauty of that bit of kit, isn't it? It reads literally everything that you pass.
Time to have a word with the driver.
Hello mate, you alright? What's your name, fella? Just slide across here for me, mate.
The driver's registration documents need to be checked, and because the ANPR indicated this van was previously involved in car park thefts, officers investigate its contents.
It is known to police for possibly being involved in some sort of theft in the past. So obviously the officers have got to satisfy themselves that that's not going on at the moment.
Vehicles can exchange hands quickly, and this driver wasn't involved in the thefts. It's dangerous enough conducting the search yards from fast-moving traffic, but that's not the only thing.
Penny. No handbrake. No brake.
With no functioning handbrake, the van could easily roll onto the motorway and cause a massive pile-up.
Don't stand between the cars just in case it gets punted up the arse. Stand this side if you can.
We need to relocate the dangerous van and ourselves fast.
Pandemonium.
Go to telephone.
English.
But the driver's Lithuanian. He's not getting the message.
We'll go off the motorway.
Yes, telephone. Yes, English.
Yes, we'll go over there. We'll go off the main road.
James has commandeered the van. He'll drive it into a service station while Mike and I monitor the traffic from the rear.
Right, okay, so from a safety point of view, you're going to just take your man a corner.
Mike spotting the non-existent handbrake could have averted a potentially lethal sequence of events.
But I've noticed when Tony and the chap were in the back, that the vehicle was moving.
Yeah.
So I've had a look in. The handbrake wasn't up, so I've then tried to pull the handbrake up. There's nothing there at all.
There has to be a zero-tolerance approach to vehicles in that state.
It's so simple to have a handbrake. It's got to be off the road.
Britain's road casualty statistics are bad enough. Not surprising when there are vehicles clearly unfit for purpose knocking about. But telling a Lithuanian his van's going nowhere is easier said than done.
Definitely Lithuanian, yeah.
It's lucky that Mike is a man with a plan.
What Biggers has just got out of the van, that laptop, he's got a translating site online where he's going to put English, he's going to translate it into Lithuanian and show the fella.
Not sure what the Lithuanian is for pay your fine in cash and don't try to move your van, but I'm sure he gets the idea.
See in there, look on the steering wheel, just put a clamp on it. So that is now off the road. I ain't going anywhere.
But we are. Another call has just come in.
The guys are just going now to an RTC, a road traffic collision, where there's a vehicle apparently on its side. Apparently it was a stolen vehicle, someone's been detained.
When we get to the scene of the RTC, it's an extraordinary sight.
Blimey. I'm no expert, but I'd suggest that's the car we're looking for. The one on two wheels.
A police car was following a suspicious vehicle when a van pulled out in front of them and lost control.
Transit van, was one occupant, and he's just gone to custody. They wanted to get past the van to stop the car in front. Right. So they put their lights on to move the van over. He's hit the Fiesta there out behind you. Oh, right. And he's obviously popped it on two wheels. See the marks on one trim marks right behind you. Yeah. And his front wheels, he's driven up the side of this one.
Can I stay in those?
The van has collided with other cars on this quiet suburban street, and the residents aren't happy.
It's not yours, was it?
Yes, love, my ability.
Oh, no.
My son's on holiday. He's my other mobility driver, so I can't go anywhere. My daughter works, so I'm stuck.
And if you come around here, look where the entire van landed. Look how close that is to the driver. 12 inches higher. I don't think anyone would have survived that. That's how serious it is. When you look in the back, you can see a baby seat. I don't even want to imagine what could have happened here. So, you've got one detained who's driving this.
He's been taken into custody, and the passenger of the other vehicle has been taken to hospital.
It's a cracking job. It's just a shame all the other vehicles and the object has been hurt. But,
Absolutely.
This is now a crime scene. Time to call in the forensics.
So would you do a forensic lift on this then?
yeah, just to obviously negate any kind of defence a driver might have in relation to who was in the vehicle and what.
And they do it as well, and I've seen it, you know, even though you've got police officers that have seen him physically climb out of that vehicle.
Not obviously forensically you're going to get stuff in there that's going to link him to that vehicle.
There's no telling what the driver had in mind for this van. There have been a spate of burglaries from soft-sided HGVs recently, and the gangs have been using vans similar to this one to shift stolen cargo.
That was on the briefing, wasn't it? A lot of the lorries getting targeted and the goods being stolen, or the fuel or whatever it was.
So all's well that ends well, especially when you think what a close shave this neighbourhood's had.
A large number of the people here are actually young kids. And talking to the residents, this is what happens all the time. Young kids are out in this road playing all the time. It really is a miracle that none of those youngsters were hurt in this.
It's the end of the shift, and back to base we go. That crash scene will stay in my memory for quite some time. They always do, often for the wrong reasons.
I mean, I've seen a number of horrendous crashes and collisions, and you know what? It always seems to be that the driver of the stolen vehicle, or the drink driver, or the drug driver are the ones that walk away scot-free. It's the innocent members of the public that get injured or killed. In my experience, that seems to be what happens.
The OSG is a frontline police unit that covers the whole of Essex, and on patrol near Chelmsford, Sergeant James Mint and his colleague Brett Daniels have just had an urgent call.
We've got one police unit with it.
Some colleagues have stopped a suspicious van and they've asked for support.
A vehicle's possibly involved in the theft of metal, so we're going to go now and back up our colleagues who are with the vehicle and see what they've got to save themselves.
Just because a vehicle is known to a crime does not mean the driver is connected. Vehicles can pass through hands very quickly.
Hello mate, you alright? Oh no, what's your name?
James recognises the driver.
They're keeping out of trouble.
Keeping out of trouble?
Yeah.
Come on now, really?
I've got 2 kids, I've got.
Oh yeah?
One of the officers who called for support checks out the back of the van, while Brett searches the front.
Yeah, we are totally...
Brett makes a worrying discovery.
Just looking around the van, had a quick look inside and noticed down by the driver's door is this knife, which is quite nasty. Obviously, you shouldn't have it on him.
You're right,
You're right, at the moment, you're under arrest on suspicion of having a possession of a defensive weapon.
What?
You don't have to say anything. It may harm the offence. You don't mention in question such as lying court.
The suspect reckons the knife isn't there to be used as a weapon.
Oh, that's the thing we found out scrapping. I ain't made us in possession of it.
Okay mate, just stand by for a minute, alright?
You know, there's no reason for it to be in the front. Whether he likes it or not, he finds it pretty. But there's no reason to have it in the front. So, yeah, he's nicked for off-wet.
It isn't only the knife that the suspect will need to explain away at the nick.
We've got lots of scrap metal, fridges, old bikes, anything metal basically. This is what a 7-inch knife. The coating's a bit rusty. The knife's obviously still sharp, still pointed, so still could do a lot of damage.
The suspect clearly doesn't think the knife's a big deal.
So how long is this going to take? So I've got to get home for my kids.
I tried to explain to him he should have kept it in the back if he's just found it, because he's saying he's just found it, but he didn't seem to understand that. But I'm not going to have a chat with him on the side of the road about it. We'll talk to him when we get back to custody.
Back at the nick, the suspect is processed. Searched for sharp objects. Shoes with laces removed. Given a new set of clothes. And a new home until he's interviewed. No further action was taken regarding the offensive weapon, and the police found nothing relating to metal theft. Still to come on Frontline Police.
What is his problem?
A teenager's temper tantrum keeps the police on the run.
Oh mate, come on now. Why don't you just speak to me about it?
Special ops are called to a horrendous crash.
Look at the mess of that car.
But the driver is nowhere to be seen.
So we've got some concerns at his own welfare.
And a highly experienced officer who thinks he's heard it all finds out he hasn't.
And did you actually see them having sex?
They were both naked, yeah, and they were touching each other.
After a 4-year break, I'm back on the force. I've already ridden shotgun with the Essex Special Ops.
Look, noticed down by the driver's door is this knife.
And this had to be the worst attempt at parallel parking I've ever seen.
12 inches higher. I don't think anyone would have survived that.
Tonight, I'm out with the dogs. PC Simon Newman is an expert dog handler.
And I want him to think that, you know, whenever he's with me, it's always going to be fun, I guess.
We're going out on patrol in Essex tonight, but before we head out, we're putting a rookie police dog through its paces. Meet Studsy.
Yeah, I've worked with dogs loads. They're really, really important. Obviously, their nose is so much more sensitive. They can find suspects where, you know, we'd never find them.
They're great for finding drugs, they're great in public order situations. They're an absolutely vital asset to the police, without a shadow of doubt.
Copper Terry Blackmore is pretending to be an intruder. What will Studsy do when he spots him?
Tell me what's happening. Police officer is up! Stay still, stay me, I'll stop him!
The jaws just clamp down like that.
You ready?
Oh no, my arm!
Good boy.
I would certainly not fancy being attacked by a dog like that. You're a very good criminal.
He's actually dragged me along the floor.
Yeah, so it's good, powerful?
Yeah, nice and strong.
Studsy can bite with a force of 320 pounds of pressure per square inch. That's nearly 3 times my biting strength. Because German Shepherds are strong, intelligent and obedient, they're the dog of choice for police and military all over the world. Terry's protective sleeve saved him from serious injury.
So could you feel the weight of the dog though, and the strength through the sleeve?
Oh, pulling your shoulder, pulling your arm. There's no way that you were going to get away.
If you didn't have a sleeve, it would go straight through your
Right
clothes.
through into your flesh. Canines, upper 2 canines, bottom 2 canines right into your flesh. And sometimes if they're pulling, likely to tear your skin.
So don't mess with the dogs.
Don't mess with the dogs.
Simon looks after Studsy 24/7.
Good boy!
And he loves it.
I can think of a lot worse things to be doing.
Right, stab-proof vest on, into the vehicle. It's time for my night shift with Simon and Studsy.
That's good, lad.
We're out in Southend tonight, on the Essex coast. It's a seaside town packed with pubs and bars, so it's no surprise when we stumble across a couple of lads who look 3 sheets to the wind.
Hi lads, how you doing? I can smell some cannabis. Have you just had a joint?
I might have just smoked from about 30 seconds ago.
Oh, right, okay. Have you had a joint recently?
Yeah.
You have as well?
Yeah. Socialising, yeah.
Socialising.
Simon's dog may have a nose 1,000 times more sensitive than his, but sometimes a human copper's sense of smell will do nicely.
You've got some on you, have you? How much you got on you? Right, so you've got 1 bag. You seem to be reaching in there for more bags.
Straight away they've handed over a couple of bags worth to him now.
Well, I appreciate you for being honest about it. It makes things easier.
But the other body search is like juggling jelly.
Oh, easy, easy.
Don't have to lift your leg up, I need to pan it down. Right. Have you ever been bothered with anything to do with drugs before?
I had a bag of weed once before.
We had a bag of weed once before?
Yeah.
And how long ago was that?
I was about 16 now.
Simon's search reveals no evidence these men are on their way to commit a crime. He confiscates the weed and takes down their details.
I've got to report you for the offence of having this cannabis on you.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got to do some checks, but at the moment my intention is to report you rather than arrest you.
This guy doesn't know what planet he's on.
Asked if he can have his weed back that they've just confiscated. Don't think that's going to happen.
He may not be getting his drugs back, but at least he isn't spending the night in the cells. Things have changed a bit since my time on the job.
When I was in the police, if you had it, you got nicked. End of. So this is all new to me, all this confiscation and all that. It's a relatively new process. I think it makes a massive amount of sense though, because why take one of the few dog handlers they've got off the streets for probably 6 hours?
The paperwork involved in processing an arrest is a total pain in the backside. That much hasn't changed, and neither has the variety of characters you encounter on the job. That's one of the best bits.
He's offering his brandy to the cops.
This fella has received a street caution. With his details successfully taken, Simon will report him for drugs possession, and this will go down on his police record.
All right then. If you're on your ask, just keep your voices down as you go through, because people sleeping and that sort of thing, but other than that, have a good night.
There's a standard procedure followed with all seized drugs.
That'll just be placed in the drug safe back at the police station, and then once that's forward, as and when it gets forward, it's all taken away to be destroyed.
Destroyed. Good result.
No sooner are we back on the road and the next call comes in. There's an RTC in Southend. Someone's crashed a car and is nowhere to be seen. We need to get there quick. Studsy may or may not be called into action tonight. It all depends on the police tactics required. When you're a copper racing to a job, there's a lot to think about.
Forensics, managing the scene, suspects, safety. You know, there's a load of things that go through your mind.
This is not the first time in my experience that a driver's made themselves scarce after totalling a car.
They could have been drinking, it could have been stolen, any number of reasons.
But one thing is for sure, someone's left the scene of an accident and we're after them.
Look at that mess of that car.
Is the owner of the car?
See the smash on the windscreen
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So we've got some concerns that for his own welfare.
Yeah.
I mean, it bodes well the fact that he's got out of the car.
Time to get a heads up from the first officer on scene.
He's done a proper job, hasn't he?
To be honest with you, it's not really going to be much worth you doing a little track. I think the fireman and the local officer have actually had a quick little look around, which has obviously ruined anything from there.
People attending the scene have been looking for the missing driver, but in doing so, they've contaminated any scent, so Studsy won't be able to track the motorist down. But that might not be an issue.
Hello, mate. I couldn't not stop and ask you. Did you do anything about this?
What do you mean, know about
the
it?
car?
No.
Do you know him?
Yes, I know him quite well.
Do you got a phone number for him and find out what exactly he's done? Because if you could help us out where he is, because we need to speak to him, because he's...
A fella behind me's just turned up and he's now claiming that he knows the owner of the car and he's going to phone him up.
In this case, the guy has come up offering his help. But in my 8 years as a copper, I often notice criminals returning to the scene of a crime.
If you've got an arson, for example, very often the person who lit the fire will come back to have a look.
An officer on the scene brings me up to speed.
At the moment we don't think he's the driver, but he certainly knows the driver. So he's made a few phone calls to see if we can find where the driver's gone.
Right.
And we're waiting for some phone calls back.
If the police trace the driver and suspect him of drinking, they have more than a breathalyzer at their disposal.
The police will go to the house, they can take blood samples if they want, because the alcohol stays in the blood a lot longer than it stays in the breath.
The driver handed himself in the following morning. His offence, failing to stop, careless driving and failing to report. Shift over, back to base. Studsy's services may not have been required tonight, but we've certainly been busy.
We've had a variety of work and it's not just about putting the dog out into
They always
the
say you're a policeman first, the dog out in a second.
So what happens now then for you and Studsy?
I'll go and give him a last little leg stretch sort of thing for taking him home, and then he'll get fed when he gets home.
Excellent. Cheers, Si.
No, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
It's been a pleasure having you along.
And you, Studsy.
As one day ends, another begins for the Essex Police. And it's a scorcher. Today is the Southend Air Show, and for cops like Mike Calvert, it's going to be all hands on deck.
It's going to be heaving, absolutely heaving.
Traditionally, things kick off on Air Show Day, and it's not just on the seafront where the boys have to be on their toes.
Not everybody who's watching the air show will come down the front. People will have barbecues and events at their home address. So people will be drinking, they'll be drinking early on, they'll be celebrating, generally having a good time, which later on, as they get more drunk, will cause lots of work for us.
It doesn't take long for Mike to get a call.
Now there's two people having sex, and it's the third male filming them who's wearing a white t-shirt and jeans.
A member of the public has reported some strange goings-on down a back alley.
A female had a white dressing gown on, and another one had beige trousers.
Yeah, received. Okay. It's different.
Mike's a veteran cop and a man of the world, but this is a new one, even for him.
This is my first porn set call ever, 17 years. If you'd have asked me what I might be going to today, that would not have been chief amongst it.
Mike's already thinking about what he could charge them with.
They could be outraging public decency. Maybe one of the participants is not willing. You have to bear that in mind.
Mike's arrived at the scene.
And I guess that's our informant.
First priority, getting a full picture of what was going on.
What did you see?
Totally naked and going for it, and anyway they are.
And they're being filmed?
Yeah, the old guy's got the camera.
Okay. Did you see intercourse, did you?
No, I didn't, but they were both naked.
Yeah.
And they were touching each other.
Now, what people choose to do in the comfort of their own home is their own business, but filming filthy movies in public alleyways is bang out of order.
So there's this wall here, it's got loads of graffiti on it, but so it probably makes quite an interesting backdrop for a video of some kind, I suppose.
It looks like the performers are long gone.
I'm going to go back and speak to our original informant now and see how he feels about it. He's the only witness at the moment.
The eagle-eyed informant has spotted the canoodling couple ducking for cover in a local shop.
The gentleman that's called us has been outraged. Were you naked?
The couple are adamant their film was in the best possible taste.
In his way, you were completely naked, not half naked.
It's one man's word against another.
They all deny that they were naked or engaging in any sexual act. They said it was just photographic work against the graffiti that's on the back wall there, and that she was in her bikini and he was in his shorts.
Mike's satisfied that he's put the kibosh on any further candid video shoots. It's time to get back on patrol. And it's not long before a call comes in from the CCTV control centre.
We got a report of a male dressed in red clothing trying to smash windows.
CCTV operators are tracking the man down the high street and guide Mike straight to his location.
What's his problem? What is his problem?
When Mike arrives on the scene, it's clear the fella is looking for trouble.
Hey, get out of the road!
The lad isn't in the mood to talk.
Listen, mate, come and speak to me.
The youth shouts that someone has stolen his phone.
Listen, mate. Hey. Could keep this game of cat and mouse all day. I was hoping he might get worn out.
When Mike catches him, the lad's off like Usain Bolt on speed.
Oh, mate, come on now. Why don't you just speak to me about it?
Just around the corner, it really kicks off.
Come here. There it is.
Mike calls in other units to head off the youth at the far end of the high road. He can run, but he can't hide. With two of Essex's finest bearing down on him, the fella decides to call it a day. The youth's girlfriend races to try and calm him down. He's arrested for criminal damage and taken to the Nick.
It's damage to some shop signs, like the KFC sign and the sign next to it, and the sign after that. I'm going to go back and take some details.
Mike's colleagues arrived just in time to help him out. It's a hot day for a foot chase.
He's committed a number of different public order offences, and shouting, swearing, throwing signs around. It's all in public, disrupting people as they're going. They're having to walk around him on the pavement. Cars are having to stop him. So there's plenty of things there that's gone on that he's done.
This fella may have thought it was okay to vent his frustration on the public street, but Mike and Essex Police disagreed.
Put your arms up for me.
Coming up.
He's going to start kicking.
A suspected wine thief who's had a few too many doesn't take too kindly to being put on the spot.
What the f*** are you doing?
Hey.
What the f*** are you doing, you smudger?
An officer investigates a suspected elderly fatality.
He's dead.
And we get called to assist a couple of security guards when a man loses control.
He grabbed my colleague round the throat and started to try and fight.
So it's Saturday evening here in Southend on one of the busiest weekends of its entire calendar. It's the air show, and I'm hearing already it's actually been a very busy day so far, and we're coming on for the night shift. It's not going to get any quieter.
Sun, sea and booze. A recipe for mayhem. I'm expecting tonight to be a busy one for me and my crew.
James, Matt, you're letting us come out with you tonight. This is one of the busiest shifts, I imagine, that you got.
Air show weekend, yeah, it's probably going to be a busy one.
Yeah, you policed one before?
Yeah, I've done a couple of different roles, but yeah, this is the most difficult one because we've got to do everything else.
They're calling you up already?
Yeah.
A call has come through about a suspected shoplifter.
We had someone make off from a supermarket after drinking a bottle of wine.
The roads are jammed with air show traffic, but with the help of the Blues and Twos, James steers through it like a hot knife through butter.
Good job I had my elbows in there, James.
As long as we don't touch them, it's fine. That'll be him, I reckon. I'll meet you the other side.
Still not quite sure what's gone on. It sounds like someone's nicked something from a supermarket. There's a fella that's down there.
This bloke matches the description of the suspect.
Got a bunch of flowers.
But there's no wine in sight, just a rather fetching floral display.
Where have you been just now? Yeah, whereabouts? In any particular shops? Right, an allegation's been made that a bottle of wine's been stolen, all right? You match the description of the chap, so I'm going to arrest you on suspicion of theft at 9 minutes past 8, all right? Thing is, we don't know who you are.
Hey,
what you doing, you smoker?
a little bit grumpy.
From the description, this could be who the police are looking for, but judging from his behaviour, it certainly looks like alcohol is working its way through his system.
Well, it will be PR. We're code 32 at the moment. Any chance of some transport?
He's obviously totally intoxicated. He fits the description. He's going down the nick.
And what about the flowers?
Bunch of flowers. Where'd they come from?
Yeah.
A friend of mine, we got given it by the old man as we walked down the road.
The police van has arrived and it's back to the nick. It's going to take James and Matt a couple of hours to process this fella.
You're going to calm down and you're not going to start getting animated and you're going to talk to the sergeant.
Believe me, I've been there and I know how frustrating it is when your time would be better spent on the streets. While we're stuck with Champagne Charlie, another unit is out and about. And they've just had a worrying call.
Got some window cleaners that have attended a house and they've seen a lady lying on the floor, not moving. So they've gone to the police station and called it in for us.
This was the job I always used to hate. Concerned relatives would ring when they couldn't get in touch with a loved one, so we'd go round to check it out. Sometimes they were just out, sometimes their phone wasn't working, but sometimes, well, I'm sure you can imagine. It doesn't look good. Lee and Mark will have to force entry.
That window might yank open, mightn't it?
Hello?
Lee's heart sinks when he looks through the window.
It's dead. Don't want to climb through. Don't know. It's
Six
can,
go.
mate. You're a little bit smaller than me. There's a little dog in here. Hello? Are you okay? You okay? The only reason we're here, my love, is that the window cleaners have turned up to do your windows and they couldn't. You were obviously asleep. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine, actually.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
What a relief.
Well, she's fine.
And it's lucky the poor lady didn't have a heart attack when she woke up to find a big copper in her front room.
Sorry to have given you a start. We'll leave you to it. No problem. Bye. She's fine. She was asleep. I think I gave her a bit of a start when I went through the window. But yeah, it's better than finding someone that's passed away.
Lee thinks Mark should get a medal for his sterling work tonight.
He's my hero every day of the week.
About 30 seconds.
Your hero.
Hero or not, Mark's shift's over, but we're back in action. A couple of private security guards report that they've been attacked on a nearby estate. There's a real sense of urgency to find them. When James and Matt track down the suspect, it's not a pretty sight.
Hello, talk to me. Hello.
Hello, mate. You're
Police officer, mate.
Hello. He grabbed my colleague round the throat and started to try to fight. So we put him on the ground and called you guys.
Anything you do say, you may be giving in evidence. Do you understand?
No.
No? Okay, mate.
Okay.
But he's kicking out his legs a lot. So all they're going to try and do now is slowly get him up onto his knees.
I started attacking them.
Well, that's what I've been told.
By who?
Well, by them, yeah.
I started attacking them.
What a little charmer.
I take it you've had a couple of beers.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I thought you had. So once you're sobered up, we'll sort it all out.
Alcohol really does the craziest things to people. This bloke is built like a beanpole, but after a skinful, he decided he was handy enough to take on two burly security guards.
Look how drunk he is.
Back at the nick, it looks like our boozed-up suspect has used the journey to get a grip on himself.
He seems quite compliant now.
Okay. You happy with that? Sign it for us, please.
Just shows what drink does to people. He's going to regret that one in the morning, I think.
Yep, it's going to be a hangover from hell. The man avoided a criminal conviction, but the caution and his fingerprints will stay on record.
Well, that's the end of a really busy shift with the response and patrol officers here in Southend, and I can't believe how relentless their workload is. They're literally flying around from call to call, domestics, thefts.
Have a little sleep, all right?
Their job is never ending. Totally take my hat off to them.
See you later.
Well, he's off to bed, and so am I. But I suspect my crib is somewhat more comfortable than his, and I'll tell you what, I can't wait to get in it. What a day.